I'm going to babysit a dead wino? I got a podcast. Like a monkey riding a racehorse. Welcome to Legends of Gotham, where we talk about Fox's hit series, Gotham, based on the world of Batman, is what I used to say. I don't say it anymore. How you doing, Anne-Marie?
I'm good. How are you?
Excellent. You know what? We're not recording.
Good. You should probably do that.
Yeah, okay. We're going to try that again, folks.
For those of you watching live, so hi, Bobby.
Yeah. Unintentional. We were back and forth, and I was trying to get my hair going. And
basically, he had a diva moment.
Okay, here we go again.
Okay, here we go again.
I'm going to babysit a dead wino? I got a podcast. Like a monkey riding a racehorse. Welcome to Legends of Gotham, where we talk about Fox's hit series, Gotham. How you doing, Anne-Marie?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. I think the second time was good on that. Yeah,
yes.
We're
do we
officially
need to do
started
third time's
now.
a charm?
No, we don't need to do a third time.
Okay.
I think we've more than fulfilled our need.
We have beat the dead horse.
The opening of the episode. Hey, how's it going, everybody? We're here to talk Gotham, as you do. As we do. Something I just wanted to mention real quick here at the top. Keep an eye on our Twitter and our Facebook, Legends of Gotham, over the next couple days. We got word over Twitter that, if you didn't know, we were in the fan trailer, the Gotham fan trailer.
If you didn't know that, what kind of fans are you of ours?
But we were in the Gotham fan trailer a couple weeks ago, and they promised us a prize package. We assumed it was never going to come.
We gave up on it. Let's just be honest.
But we got word today that it's coming. So we're sometime over the weekend, we're going to post a little unboxing video, and we'll probably include that next week in the podcast too, for those of you out there who don't watch YouTube. Which is like
those of you in the listener land.
All right. Well, I guess we should go ahead and get started talking about the second episode of Gotham, Selina Kyle. We had some complaints last week.
We did.
Saying that the episode summaries need to rhyme because we were doing kind of like that staccato film noirish voiceover kind of thing. Yeah, no one liked it.
No one liked it, including me.
So I was thinking how to do the rhyming episode summaries while still keeping it very Gotham. And I decided, why don't we do riddling rhyming episode summary? So Anne-Marie, why don't you go ahead and hit us up with our first official rhyming riddling summary here.
When is it better for a kid to be thinner? When bad guys take them and pack them for dinner. When is Bruce Wayne more like a shelf? When he holds his hand flat while testing himself. Who is the Dollmaker? Nobody knows. Who are his minions in fancy clothes? And when is a child more like a cat? You'll have to ask Selina Kyle about that. Yes, I know I missed fancy.
That's fine.
You were going to call me out on it.
No, I wasn't. I was going to let it slide, but now you've called yourself
I called myself out on it.
So, Anne-Marie, what did you think overall of Selina Kyle? The character or the episode?
Meow. Meow, I like this very much.
Mm-hmm. Meow, did you?
Meow,
why?
That was horrible.
Meow, why?
No, one thing I'm really liking about Gotham is the different sections that are sort of happening.
Mm-hmm. Or like the different worlds.
It's not really different worlds, though. Like, it's just the different sections.
Facets?
Facets.
Yeah,
I like facets. There we go. That's a good word. And, this is sort of how we had predicted it. You have your Freak of the Week, but then you also have your regular villains. And it was
like your Falcone or your Fish Mooney, that sort of thing.
Right, because you're not going to get rid of Falcone. Sorry, lady. It's nice to see them kind of intertwine with our Kid Snatchers and Selina. So yeah, I'm liking it. How about you?
Oh, I loved it. Like so many good things about this. I put it? No, I put it in here, so I don't want to say it right now. It's just watching the show. I mean, I know Batman's not in it, but it makes me feel like a kid again, in a good way. A good way. Like I'll get into that in a little more detail in just a second. I guess we'll go ahead and get into my first point here, which is Patty and Doug, the two kid snatchers. I absolutely love them.
They were so good.
Like they might be some of my favorite television villains I've seen this year.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were just so great. Like everything about them, just like their manner, how kind of they were almost like, we were talking about how last week Jada's performance as Fish was kind of presentational. She pulled back on it this week.
Right.
These two were full front like out to the audience vaudeville kind of villains.
Yes.
But they were still at the same time very realistic, and they had a real dark edge to them, which I really liked. Like it felt like, and I know people are allergic to saying that this is a good thing. It felt like the 60s Batman show in a good way. It felt like it did when I was sitting there cross-legged in front of our big TV back in like 1986, watching it in the afternoon, before I realized that they were joking about everything, when I thought it was serious, when I thought it was a serious show. This is what it felt like to me. Exactly how I felt when watching this episode. Just these big, over-the-top kind of guest starry kind of villains.
Right.
I did like the air quotes to the camera when I was looking at you. It was weird.
Yeah.
But, you know, and I just absolutely loved everything about it. Like their attitudes, the way they interacted with the other characters. I really hope, I forget the actress's name, but I think it comes up in a voicemail from one of our listeners later on. But I really hope they find some way to bring these guys back. And that's something else.
I think they will, because they weren't killed off.
Yeah, that's something else really nice about Gotham versus, I mean, we get so used to this in superhero movies that they have to kill off the villain at the end of it, because it's the biggest adventure of Superman versus General Zod, or Batman versus the Joker, or whatever. And if it's the biggest adventure ever, they feel they need to kill them at the end of it. But, you know, this being a serialized thing, they can just, oh no, they went to prison, and they went to, well, eventually Arkham. After they reopen it or whatever. But it actually seems like that's going to be a big battle, like who gets to control Arkham this year. We'll get into that a little later.
Yeah, we will.
But yeah, I really. What did you think of Patty and Doug?
I loved them. I absolutely adored it. And I won't lie, one of my favorite things was when the guy came with his eyes all clawed out. And she's like, oh, you'll be fine. We'll take you to the doctor. I'm like, what?
Well, actually, I'll save my point on that for later.
Oh, is that already in
I have
there?
something in the doc. That's fine, though. No, it's good.
Sorry.
It's good. No, but yeah, she was great. What did you think about, because I know some people were complaining about, like, maybe the tearing of the eye out of the eyes was too harsh or something like that for Selina to do,
I thought it was a little weird because she had no blood on her. That kind of bothered me. It was a little continuity problem.
Well, she had didn't she have like black gloves on or something like that? Maybe it was hiding it a little bit.
They were tipless.
Oh, they were tipless, so you would have seen.
Yeah.
Well, she cleaned them up just like a cat. Oh, disgusting. First cannibal.
Don't ever do that again.
First cannibalized kids. They legit made everybody think for about 10 minutes that they were going to eat these kids.
I bought it.
Which, you know, depending on what version of the Dollmaker or whoever the Dollmaker is, I guess will depend whether, you know, it'll be worse or better for these kids. But there is a new 52, which I know DC has a big effort they're doing since the new 52 of trying to like make these characters the same across all medium. There's a new 52 villain called the Dollmaker. Basically, his name is Barton Mathis, and after he spends his childhood accompanying his father while his father eats people, actually, and then when he grows up, he becomes a serial killer, and he uses various parts of different people to make dolls, like different people he's killed to make dolls. So that's one direction they could go with it. Another direction I was thinking they could go with it is there's a character, and we kind of get a possible tease of this character in this episode. If you remember Fish's exercise partner,
yes,
his name was Laszlo. And there's another Batman villain whose name is Laszlo, and there's been some indication that this guy might be showing up in Gotham anyway. But his name is Professor Pig. And one of the reasons he popped into my head as a possible, maybe like, you know, they use the name Dollmaker, but then it ends up being Professor Pig, is because that's basically what he does too. He does a form of that where he abducts people, and then he turns them into perfect little dolls, like perfect... they all look identical. They look kind of like baby dolls or something like that. And then they're like kind of like his brainwashed army to, you know, fight Batman with and stuff. There was a Batman animated series out last year that had him on it. I don't think he was quite that dark. I think he was like, he was running around with like Mr. Toad from Mr. Toad's Wild Ride or something like that. But yeah,
Nice.
a couple different possible identities for the Dollmaker, and I'm sure we'll probably see more on that later. And I kind of like how they just like they drop so many things that they can pick back up and do an episode or an arc on, or just leave them lie there and that gets taken care of when he becomes Batman 10 years down the road.
Exactly. Like this one nice thing is they are setting up so much. One thing that they definitely were setting up was the reopening of Arkham.
Oh yeah.
And or at least all the Arkham connection, as my line was.
Yeah, with the what was it, the PV or ATP?
I don't remember what the drug was. All I know is a fast-acting knockout drug. Which I thought it was fun that they had the Riddler bring it in first. What do you need to do? I'm like, I'll never get over that because
he was so excited.
He was so excited, and they're like, "Thanks, Ed. Goodbye."
and actually, that kind of lends itself to what I was thinking last week about they'll just have him come in for one little quick cameo every episode, have him do something
until something
to progress the plot,
cracks.
and until it's the Riddler episode, and it's going to be actually that might make for a good like mid-season finale or something.
That would be fun. Another thing was how the pharma guy said, "No, we haven't had that since Arkham was open." And like, yeah, you think they didn't look that up, buddy? We know you've been stalking it.
Yeah,
like that's how they got you. That's how they got you.
And then there's the Bullock line, "Arkham's been closed 10 years," which that was the line I did in the fan trailer. So I just did my reading of it.
You just had to do your reading of it.
But then she corrects him
that it was
15 years. Actually.
Then we also had the other connection, which came from Falcone about was it Falcone who said the Wayne Foundation was going to reopen Arkham?
Yeah, and that was part of the reason that things were being thrown into kind of chaos with their death, and possibly one of the reasons why they were killed.
Right. So that's, lots of setup for that, and kind of excited to see where that all goes.
Yeah, and I kind of get the impression that the mayor, played by Richard Kind in this episode, which he was pretty good.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling he's probably going to have some aspirations as far as Arkham Asylum's concerned as well.
Right.
Maybe since they can't keep a bus of street kids.
Seriously.
Maybe that's where they'll just throw all the street kids. That would actually make sense. Yeah, because then all those street kids become the supervillains later on. But speaking of that scene in Essen's office, I really liked Essen too.
Yes, that was one of my notes, and then I saw that you already had it in here. I was like, womp womp womp.
No, but this was really the first time we got a clear sense of her character, because I think in the pilot we just had the scene with you have to keep him as your partner. No, I don't. The kind of like that stereotypical cop movie scene, and you didn't get a real good sense of her. But in this, you definitely feel like she's kind of like Harvey Bullock, kind of passively bad. She's basically doing everything she can to just kind of duck under all the BS flying her way, and just trying to stay afloat.
With the program.
Yeah,
but she's with the program.
She is with the program, and that's something else that kind of surprised me too. Was that they very like I was gonna think that she was someone who was reluctantly aware of the bad goings on and just kind of like dealing. No, she's
all on it.
She's definitely all in. Definitely
her and Fish have drinks or dances. Who knows?
But she back to my point.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
Wah, wah.
But I really liked her scene with the mayor too. Something I did notice though in this episode, and I hope you didn't bring this up because but it's pretty important. I know I didn't. Was the leverage they have, they think they have over Gordon now. I noticed how everyone kept bringing that up to him. Essen brought that up to him. Harvey brought that up to him. Fish brought that up to him. They all think they have him under a barrel now.
Yeah, they have no idea.
But they don't.
Yeah, he's like, whatever.
And it was just funny to see how that's how they get people. That's how they get people to fall under this corruption and everything in Gotham. Is they find one little point that they can kind of blackmail you with, and you have to do this. You have to do this. Everything, you'll be safe as long as you do this. Once you do that, you're theirs.
Yep.
Yeah. Done. Yeah, you had something else you wanted to bring up about Fish, right?
Yeah. Sorry, reading. I love that she has two very distinct personalities, and that they can switch on the turn of a dime. Like she has her. I'm your Falcone. It's very formal. It's very structured. Shows no emotion if she can humanly help it. like when her little exercise partner comes over and he made googly eyes at her like 3 times.
Well, he paid for that.
Yes, he did. But you could tell she was so pained watching it because you could tell she really does care about him. And come on.
Yeah, well, I mean, even just like the whites of her eyes were getting red and everything. It was a really good performance.
Right.
Like you know, like I said earlier, like that presentational style she had last episode, that was gone. She was a fully fleshed out character in this episode. Like where I think like the fish in the pilot was a rough sketch. In this episode, she was fully formed with full colors and shadows and everything else. It was great. Oh, it's fine.
Okay. Then there is her.
Did you get hit with the ATP?
I must have. Then there was the queen attitude. Sorry, I'm not sure if that's an
Queen Bee.
Queen Bee.
There you go. You can call her Queen Bee.
Queen Bee, which makes sense. I will kill that man with my bare hands and my teeth.
Oh,
that was an amazing line.
Mm-hmm.
It is amazing. I will probably think it to myself. Pardon me.
Oh, it's fine.
Let me just beat things up tonight.
No, there were a lot of good one-liners in this episode. There was that one. There was the like a monkey riding a racehorse.
Yeah, I think you liked that more than I did.
Yeah, there was one other. Hey, you laughed when that happened.
No, I laughed at you.
There was one other one that I really liked. Oh yeah, actually, I have a couple of them coming up later, so we'll talk about those in a few.
Another thing that I noticed with her, how she said on my sainted mother's grave that she would kill that man. Maybe that's part why she got into, we're getting a little backstory.
Ooh, I like that. Like maybe like, I don't know, like Falcone killed her mom and then took her under his wing. Yeah. Something
which would
like
make
that. sense
why she aligns with Falcone.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that. And just for comedy, Butch, hold your shoes.
Very nice. Yeah, but Fish was phenomenal in this week's episode. Okay, now if you guys listened last week, you know that every week we're going to take a look at some possible candidates for your Joker in a segment we're going to call "Look at This Joker," and we have a page set up over on the site right now for it too. I'm trying to get it up here, but you just go to legendsofgotham.com and then right up at the top there's a link. Look at this Joker, and you can go through here, and we have comments open here too. So if you have any ideas, feel free to share them and we'll add them to this page. We have them sorted here by episode. We have the pilot here with the comedian. And the little smile graffiti on the building. Okay, and now we have here season 1, episode 2, Selina Kyle. Candidate 1 we have is Laszlo. But as we mentioned before, Laszlo is also the name of Professor Pig. So I'm not too sure.
I'm not too sold. It was very convincing prior to the Professor Pig revelation.
Yeah, and then we have oh, what happened?
You deleted the wrong one.
Did I delete the wrong one?
Yeah.
Okay, and then we have Ransom Jones we don't actually have here. Why don't you explain to people the other one and see? I'll see if I can find it here.
Well, we had it was the guy that Bullock.
Here it is.
Okay, weird. Steps on his shoes, his shiny, fancy shoes. In the whatchamacallit, the station.
Yeah, there and he calls here I found it.
Yeah.
And he calls Bullock a clown too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he has the shiny shoes, and in some versions of the Batman mythos, the Joker is responsible for shooting the Waynes. He has the purple suit on. He calls Harvey a clown. I kind of have a feeling that he was thrown in there
to do this.
I think he very well could be the person who killed the Waynes. I think because he looks very similar in the build and everything to the guy who did. But I don't think he's necessarily the Joker. I think he was put there as our obvious Joker choice
for this episode.
Yeah, and I think Laszlo's the wild card. And Johnny Ransom or whatever I called him, he's not even in the running anymore.
No, we're pretty sure he's dead.
Yeah, the Penguin probably killed him. So okay, so that's a look at this Joker. Look back here next week for more.
I feel like it needs a little song. Look at this Joker.
Everybody, look at this Joker. Ha ha!
Oh my goodness, we should never do that again.
Jokes is my next point. Actually, there were a lot of really darkly funny moments in this episode.
Yes.
A few of them I was thinking, a couple of them had to do with Patty. One of them was that scene with the guy with his eyes gouged out. And she was like, no, you're fine. When she goes to shoot him.
And it doesn't shoot.
Yeah, it misfires.
Yes.
And she's like, oh, no, honey, it's fine. Just wait up and fixes it. which I thought was really funny. Just like a very like slapsticky, violent comedic beat, which was fun. And then like her reaction when the cops show up. Oh gosh, cops. Like just like very matter of factly, very like prim proper like 60s school teacher.
Yes.
I love that character so much. And I also really liked in the scene when Gordon comes to Wayne Manor, how Bruce just like appears behind them, because that's totally
what Batman does.
Yeah, that's like a Batman shtick specifically with Gordon, where he'll just like Gordon will be talking to him and he'll turn around and Batman's gone.
Yeah.
And then Alfred yells at him for like, that's rude.
Don't do that. I've told you not to do that.
I just want a scene now where it's like adult Batman doing it to Gordon, and Alfred's there for some reason. He's like, don't do that, Master Bruce. That's rude.
I want him to do it to Alfred. Just like right there.
Boom. He couldn't do it to Alfred.
No, Alfred's too good.
And I also really super enjoyed Goth Bruce Wayne, you know, the cutting, the burning, the listening to hardcore death metal while drawing crosses and like these real like crazy spirals. Spire.
I don't know what a spire is.
Line drawings, like very like tight line art.
Oh, okay.
I guess you could say. But no, I really love that. And it just reminded me from the Lego movie, the Batman or the song Batman sang in there. Because in one scene in the Lego movie, they're like traveling from one place to another, and Batman pops his demo tape in the stereo. And it's like, darkness, no barons, more darkness. And yeah, it totally reminded me of that.
Interesting. Perhaps I should have paid attention to the Lego movie at some point.
Okay, and Bobby confirms for us the drug was called ATP. We do have people in our comments here. We usually try to record Wednesday nights around 8:30 p.m. EST. So if you want to keep an eye on our social media and come join us live to talk, we like that. And we've been, for our Once Upon a Time podcast, we did that Monday, and it was insane. We had about 10 people in there. It was awesome.
It was fun.
We loved it. So
it was fun. Probably made the
talk
podcast.
to us.
Come talk to us. We're lonely. Don't do the pointing at me now.
Oh yeah,
I don't like the pointing. I feel like a child. Okay, so the Penguin. No, we didn't get to see too much of him. But one thing I've noticed is he wears his victims' clothing like trophies.
I like that.
I'm a little creeped out.
I like that in a penguin.
You like that in a penguin?
I do.
I'm thinking that maybe this is how the penguin initially got fat, because he was wearing lots and lots of clothes.
He just kept putting on layers.
He keeps putting on layers.
I think that might be my favorite concept we've come up with on the podcast since it being the origin story of the mustache. Like, that's amazing.
That's how come he got fat, because he was hiding under all these layers.
You keep stacking up victims. Yeah,
you could see it. So that side note, that poor farmer, he ain't gonna live very long.
Oh no, not at all.
I'm surprised he's still alive.
I really enjoyed too how when the penguin gets off the phone with that guy's mom.
Oh yeah.
You can tell he's actually kind of happy that she didn't have the money.
Yeah.
Like he's like, okay, cool. This guy was kind of a jerk anyway.
Yeah.
And one thing I did notice there in that scene we've seen a million times because it's been in all the promotional materials, the scene of them picking him up on the side of the road. Like I think when they did like the stop, and he went for the handle and they kept going.
Yeah.
That's when he decided he was going to kill them. And then when he said the thing about you walk like a penguin, that's when he decided he was going to make that guy suffer and, you know, get enough money from that guy to get started or take all his frustration out.
No, because he killed that one. That's the one he went for the throat. The driver is the one that.
Oh, was it the driver?
I think so.
It's hard to say. It's
really hard to say. They were very preppy.
Yeah.
You could tell that they were the
type.
jerks.
They were the type of preppy where they almost looked exactly the same. They could have been twins with different noses. We'll call them frat brothers. Twins with different noses.
Don't judge the frat people.
I won't judge them too much. Okay. Any other points on Penguin before we move on?
No, I'm just really excited to see more. I
wish there had been more of them.
I wanted more. Oh, no. One more thing. It was just, again, with the ha-has. Do you got a Hemi in there? Yes, there's a Hemi somewhere in there.
Yeah, he totally didn't know what a Hemi was.
Just give me the key.
That was a good time. Okay, now, speaking of the Penguin, we did get to meet his mom in this episode, played by...
that's how we met her?
Classic.
Did I make her tea?
She's in the next room. Come out, Mrs. Cobblepot or Cobbleput.
Cobbleput.
Played by Carol Kane, famed actress of stage, screen, television, etc. She's been in about a billion things, and she always plays little character roles like this.
She was crazy.
I loved her. She was fun. She was like she didn't have much to do. She was really there to relay some information, but she did it in a very entertaining way, and you totally knew who that lady was right from the start.
Right.
And sadly, it's like it's a lady who doesn't exist as much in America anymore. It exists less because there's less, as time goes on, there's less and less people who just came over here, who are just who have like children who were born here but are just like still stuck in the old ways and everything. You're getting less and less of that. So it was fun, and I really enjoyed Montoya and Alan in this too. They had some good banter going back and forth, but I really think I know what's going to go on with their storyline. This is my prediction, and Victoria, tell me if I'm wrong. I'm sure you can. Victoria, who plays Renee Montoya. But basically what I think is going to happen is they're going to keep pressing this Gordon situation, and they're going to blow the lid off of it and expose everything that's going on with it right when Gordon's about to win, setting him back, all of his work,
10 years.
Completely ruining all of his like sneaking around at his planning, which is going to be really ironic. And they're probably going to be very upset with themselves too, because he's really working towards
They're doing the same thing.
Yeah, they're doing
the same thing, just from different routes.
Yeah, he's working from the inside while Montoya and Crispus are working. Every time I say Crispus now, I want to say Crispus. But Crispus are working from the outside.
Sort of going with the whole couple pot scene. I didn't put this in here, but it appears as though the Penguin has a sister.
There was
a family portrait of mom, dad, older sister, and little boy.
See, I was too busy looking at that wonderful picture of him as a high schooler. Yeah. So there is a sister.
There was a sister.
Very interesting.
So
either they did something to her for leverage, or she could come by for a one-off.
Yeah.
Penguet. I don't know. Oh, I guess.
I apologize for him. Never.
Mrs. Penguin. I don't think.
No, not a Mrs.
Well, I mean, like if he was John Smith, she would, or I guess Miss Smith. Never mind. Bring the sister in for a guest episode.
We're gonna move on. So,
yeah, we forgot to turn the air conditioning on in here too.
No, I'm actually cold.
Okay, your next point.
Perhaps it's just because this got awkward.
I'm like nervous now.
So with Alfred and Bruce and Jim, sort of that, neither of them know what's going. How come mine doesn't update? Bobby Hawk is like blowing up the Google Plus, and the last thing I have is the drug is indeed ATP from 15-20 minutes ago.
But you were saying.
But I was saying that, neither of them know how to raise a kid. They just know that they care for him and they want him to be, taking care of himself and all that. And he's like, well, you have to stop him from doing the cutting and the burning and the things. And he's like, I'm raising him how his parents would like him raised. And he's like, how's that? Trust him to choose his own course. You're trusting a 14-year-old goth kid to choose his own course, which she promptly makes positive by wanting to help all the street kids.
Yeah, that's something I really thought they did a good job nailing the Bruce Wayne character, because on one hand he's very obsessive and very kind of creepy in a sense, but on the other hand he's very compassionate and he wants to do things for people who are hurting. I
love how he instantly is like, I'm going to send them money.
Yeah.
And Jim's like,
send them all the money.
You cannot just send them money. Do not send the street kids the monies.
I definitely do like that. This Alfred can tell he's in over his head and can tell he needs help from Gordon, because Gordon's pretty much the only other adult that Bruce seems to trust. And a lot of people were complaining like, well, why didn't he take him to the therapist or whatever? For one, he had the direct orders from the Waynes not to do it. For two, you got to think the Waynes are kind of like aristocracy in Gotham. They have been there for multiple generations. Like in the DC comics, they've been there since the 1700s. Helping to build Gotham City.
Interesting.
So they're a very, very old family. And, with that comes a lot of like pride, and we have to keep up appearances. And, like in the British kingdom.
The British kingdom.
But, the British royalty, like the king and queen. Like I know stories as recently as like the 80s or 90s of various members of the royal family needing mental health services and not being able to go do it because
who's gonna do that? Yeah.
Well, no. The queen didn't want anyone thinking that there was something wrong, or the people controlling the royal family and how they're presented didn't want that sort of
thing to get out.
Those whispers around them and stuff. So I could totally see why Alfred wouldn't do that, and I could totally see also that. And I mean, real world, this was a real 14-year-old sitting here burning himself with the candle. Yeah, we're going to go get him help.
Yeah.
In this world, he's a smart kid. Alfred's known him for a long, long time. If he says he's testing himself versus inflicting pain on himself because he's a cutter or whatever,
he has to go with it.
Yeah, I mean, well, I can see why he would trust in that or trust that there was a purpose behind it.
Right.
And like I said last week, I think there's a whole off the line dynamic going on with Bruce and Alfred that we're not seeing. I think we saw a little bit of it in that scene where Alfred catches him doing the candle thing.
He yells at him and then he hugs him.
Yeah, but yeah. I have a feeling Alfred has a sense of what Bruce's mission is going to be at this point. And so maybe that informs a little bit of his reluctance to take him to the authorities too, because maybe a little bit of him wants Bruce Wayne to be out there, making Gotham a better place.
Exactly.
So next one.
Hey, the next one's yours.
Next one is mine. Hey, what do you know? Selina Kyle.
Hey, the person for the episode.
Yeah, the person who's was named for the episode. I absolutely loved her. She was a mousy, smart, and a little mean, which perfectly befitting Catgirl. And the thing that really got me about her, like everything about her, from like the advice she was giving the little boy on the bus to even like the scratching of the eyes thing, which is as weird as it sounds. But and even the accusation of like, oh, I'm going to tell them you touched me if you don't go get them.
That was so good.
All of this reminded me of like these really street smart little girl characters that were on television when I was a kid, like in the 80s. Like I can remember every sitcom had an episode where the main child character ran into a girl like this, like Silver Spoons had an episode like this, or Fresh Prince of Bel-Air had an episode like this. But the series that comes to mind most is Punky Brewster. Like she really kind of reminded me.
She has a bit of a Punky.
She reminded me of Punky Brewster from the pilot, if the pilot was rated like PG or PG-13 or something. A little bit more of an edge to it, a darker edge to it. And I really, really like that kind of character. Right. So I really, really liked Selina Kyle. And I thought, what's her name? Cameron, the actress, did a really, really good job. Glad to finally get to see her speak.
You mean hear her speak?
Hear her speak.
I mean, we saw her speak, but we also
I was watching the audio waveform like we have on the screen over here the whole time.
One thing that was slightly funny was that the dog barked at Cat. That was entertaining. I'm so easily entertained by the small stuff and how she was like batting at
Well, I think someone mentions that down in the feedback. We always do that.
I'm influenced by the feedback. Like I'll read it and I'll think it was like an article that I read. No, it's just the listeners pointing things out to me.
Any other thoughts on Catgirl?
She's awesome and I want more.
Well, obviously, since she knows who the Wayne's killer is.
Okay, so lies. One more thing. So she keeps going, bring me Jim Gordon. I want to talk to Jim Gordon. I need to talk to Jim Gordon. He works here. Jim Gordon walks up to her and she's like, I'm not talking to you. Okay, so obviously you have no idea who Jim Gordon is.
Well, no. I think that was when did she say I'm not talking to you? Like in the police station, or are you talking about in the
warehouse thing?
Oh no, she didn't say I'm not talking to you. She said, what business? He asked what her name is, and she says, what business is it of yours? Because she's not caught at that point. She's not going upstate. Once she's going upstate, she's calling in that. And actually, she tried to get Jim Gordon before she got on the bus.
I know that. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Is she was asking for him before that. 3 hours later, there he is, and she won't talk to him.
Maybe she knew he was on that case or something like that.
Well, seeing as how she's nice freeze frame there. And it stayed. No, it's point gone.
That's fair.
Okay, so do you have anything else on that?
Oh no, go ahead.
Okay, so I decided to put together a bunch of thises and that's and little one-off things. I may have mentioned some of them, but we'll see. So the street kids, the shipping sign is over them. When they first pull up in the food truck, the big billboard is the shipping company.
Oh, okay. That comes into play.
The Trident shipping company.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So saw that, thought that was kind of cool because I never pick up that kind of stuff. So I was really excited. I was like, oh, writing it down. Okay. What is the market for the street kids?
Like, what do you mean the market?
Exactly.
Oh,
why are we gathering up street kids?
Well, I would assume they're being used as spare parts for the Dollmaker's dolls, or they're being used to convert into Professor Pig's dolls. One or the other.
Okay. Well,
they're being used as a source of pleasure for some sort of psychopath somewhere.
Okay, lovely. The kidnappers remind me of people from Big Love on the compound.
Oh yeah, the people with the cowboy hats and stuff.
Mostly the guy. Really, I was like, were you on Big Love? Like, I just kept staring at him on my second watch. WTF giant hole in the middle of a floor of a building that goes and goes and goes and goes and goes and goes.
That was such a comic book thing to have.
Goes and goes and goes. Like, there was no bottom.
I know. I love that hole.
I loved it too, but I don't know what it was doing there.
Actually,
what type of shady pharmaceutical business was this?
You know what? I even want to say, and I know I already referenced 60s Batman once in this episode, but I want to say there was an episode where the death trap that Batman and Robin were stuck in involved a bottomless hole like that. In sort of kind of like a room that looked like it could be used for like meat packing. Yeah. Like they were in.
Yeah.
So that's fun.
Okay. How did they actually steal the bus from the prison?
Well, I think they just they probably just knocked out whoever was there to say, okay, these are the people who should be on this bus as it pulls away, and just knock them out. And just because, I mean, you know, people are going to check documentation coming into a prison, like buses pulling through into a prison, but on the way out, probably not as much. So probably what they did,
they funny because it almost should be the other way around.
But they found a new way into the prison maybe, and then took out the people who were in charge of that bus. Okay. It happened off screen.
Let's see, we already sort of talked about this. Ransom fail. Wah, wah, wah. And annoying quote, we're adults, we're smarter than you. No, Bullock. No.
Well, I think he seems like the kind of cop who would assume that every perp he's dealing with is lying to him. Like, no matter.
Okay, well, it did sound kind of shady that he's like, and they attacked us with a giant pen. Like,
that's fair.
Okay, street kid.
That's fair. And the guy that they had that had provided the drug that Bullock was feeding with the book probably deserved it.
Oh yeah, he did. Well, I liked the fact that he's like, and St. Jim here isn't going to intervene. He's like, math, 30 kids, you.
Rough. I'm sure he probably would have stepped in if it had got too much, though. Maybe. Okay. Arbitrary scale time. Let's see here. Out of 37 shipping containers filled with children, how many shipping containers filled with children do you give this episode, Anne-Marie?
Well, I don't like that the shipping containers are filled with children.
Alternatively, you can answer a number of children.
Oh.
But you'd have to do some math there.
Yeah, too much math. 36.
36, why?
Because it was awesome. But you'll never get a perfect score out of me.
Fair enough.
So, yeah, it was really, I mean, I was scared we were going to get let down. No lie, just a little nervous about it.
Yeah.
A little nervous. We've put a lot into this. But
yeah, no, that's another thing that
it's definitely gone up.
You know, I'm sure people Brett Worthington's out there. We're going to play your voicemail in a couple of minutes,
What's
Brett.
Brett Worthington?
He sent in a voicemail.
Oh, cool.
But something that people listening might not get is we've been working on this podcast, getting it put together since like January or February,
as
something like that. As
soon as there was even a hint that they were going to do it, like
we got the domain
it wasn't
name.
even official. No, we got the domain and everything the day they formally announced that they were going to make a pilot. We knew nothing,
but we knew we wanted to do a podcast about it
because we're crazy.
Yeah,
enjoy.
But so, you know, when watching these first couple episodes, we've actually been very nervous because what if we hated the show, right?
What if we hated the show?
Like I was like, we probably have to cancel the podcast.
I'd be like, we would be stuck until at least Christmas.
Yeah. But thankfully, the show's been really, really good. And I personally would give it 37 shipping containers because it was amazing. And one big thing that I thought as the episode was ending was this totally could have been, it was the second episode. It could have been the 22nd or the 32nd. It felt like an episode of an ongoing TV show where the pilot didn't necessarily feel like that.
Right.
It felt like throwing a whole bunch of stuff at the wall to get someone to say yes. And now that someone said yes, we're getting a lot of good stories. And we're just getting like a really self-contained, fun little unit too. And it definitely felt more like a procedural than it did last
Don't mind
episode.
me, I have an itch.
Oh, that's fine. You can still hear me without your headphones on, right?
Yes, there's a thing. It's called reality.
It's called reality. No, but really, really good. And I can't wait for next week's episode, which we'll be talking about in just a minute.
In just a moment.
But before we get to that, we'd like to thank Audible for sponsoring this week's episode of Legends of Gotham. Usually say thank you, Audible.
Thank you, Audible.
Audible, if you don't know, is a service. Basically, you sign up for a membership and you get an audiobook a month.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter if that audiobook is 10 hours or 5 hours or whatever.
Or
if it's
18 hours.
Yeah.
I've had some of those.
You get a credit a month to put it towards whatever book you want. You can take this book and you can play it while you're working out, while you're driving, while you're collecting kids and to take them to the Dollmaker.
Do not go collect kids. And we do not encourage anyone to ever collect children.
Okay, go steal kids. And then you can listen to audiobooks on your iPhone, your Windows
Media,
Zoom. A Creative Zen player, or any modern device, like a Ford car, for example, is something that you can do with Audible with. You can sync. Now, we always like to give you a couple audiobooks as like an idea, as a starting point, while you go and try your free 30-day trial where you get your free audiobook from Audible. Anne-Marie, what did you pick this week?
This week, in honor of lots and lots of angry, mean people, we are recommending Anger Management and Frustration Help, Guided Meditation and Affirmations, Sleep Learning System. It's a really long title, but it looks fantastic, and it's by Joel Thickley.
Yeah, this seems like it would be good for, like, I don't know, a butler who has a young charge that he's been having issues with.
Right.
You know?
Possibly that. Or maybe a drunk cop who's a little corrupt.
I could see that. Or
That's really where I was going.
Or a nightclub owner whose exercise partner just got beat up.
Yeah. These are all really great people who could use this anger management and frustration help.
Okay, and as for me, I decided to pick. I typed in because he was on the episode, and I was like, he had to have narrated an audiobook somewhere along the way, and he had. Richard Kind narrated Gun Guys: A Road Trip, and here's a little bit of the description. Here is armed America, a land of machine gun gatherings in the desert, lederhosen German shooting societies, feral hog hunts in Texas, and Hollywood gun armories. Whether they're collecting antique weapons, practicing concealed carry, or firing an AR-15 or Glock at their local range, many Americans love guns, which horrifies and fascinates many other Americans and much of the rest of the world. And it's basically a non-fictional book about America's love affair with guns, and he does a really good job reading it. I listened to the full 5-minute sample.
Did you?
Yeah, it's really good. There is some pretty extreme language in there, so be aware. But nice. A good listen, and narrated by the mayor himself, Richard Kind. And Rain wanted us to mention that you can play Audible stuff on Windows Phone, and we already did.
And we did.
Okay.
So we've overdone it now.
If you want your free 30-day trial, and you can pick one of these audiobooks or any other audiobook you want to, you can just go to audibletrial.com/Gotham for your free audiobook. Again, that's audibletrial.com/Gotham. And we want to thank Audible for sponsoring this week's episode of Legends of Gotham.
Thank you, Audible. You're awesome.
And now, on to the news. News.
I love that carried over.
Yes, it has to. It has to. Okay, first up, we'll do ratings. Now, it did dip 8 to 12%. We got a 7.9 million with a 2.8 share.
That's not bad, though.
No, it's not, especially considering what it's up against and considering it far outdid expectations last week.
Right.
So, a lot of people, I saw some people sort of painting it like, that's a bad thing. No, it's not.
No, an 8 to 12% dip is nothing.
Yeah, you're going to expect a small dip after the pilot because some people just aren't going to tune back in.
Right. Some people just wanted to see what was going on.
That's generally the way I've noticed from our Once Upon a Time podcast, how these ratings work. Generally, the season premiere or the mid-season premiere or whatever.
Way up.
You get your biggest ratings then, and it's a slow fall off, right. Unless something extreme happens, like Ellen comes out or
like
Elsa. You don't get those big jumps in ratings too much once the season started. Once. Sorry. Okay, and speaking of next week, we have a new episode coming up called The Balloon Man, and they have a little trailer for it. I will say that, let's go ahead and show this on the video stream. The first image you see there is a guy in a pig mask, a la Professor Pig that we talked about earlier. So
yes, so interesting.
very interesting.
But we cannot play the actual trailer on the show.
Yeah, because we don't want YouTube to take us down, but we'll talk over it.
We will. Whoa.
Whoa, and it's
No.
Oh, and it crashed. Hold on one second. Yeah,
and there he goes up in a balloon.
And it basically appears that there's some sort of psycho strapping criminals to weather balloons and making them float.
Oh, and then Fish and
Montoya and Alan finally cross paths. And then we have Penguin killing more people. Always
he was fun. Cold.
More detecting by Gordon.
Oh. Who's getting a bullet in the head?
I think that was between Harvey and Gordon.
Oh.
Yeah, so it looks like their whole situation is going to come to a head.
Already? So quick.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it'll be the first head of many.
The first of many heads.
But if you want to check out any of the stories we're talking about here, by the way, you can find them in the show notes at legendsofgotham.com. And we also got, and I pulled an article, actually, my buddy Spencer Perry over at Superhero Hype wrote about it. But it's a full season preview for Gotham with just like a ton of new footage. There's a couple articles that did a really good job of like breaking it down shot by shot and grabbing the screenshots. Spencer noted the big things here. One, there's a guy who looks like he might be the Scarecrow, guy who looks like he might be Professor Pig. Victor Zsasz, who's a serial killer villain, makes his first appearance in the Gotham City Police Department, demanding Jim Gordon with, all the cops there just standing up on a desk.
Oh, yeah, that guy.
Trying to rule the roost, sort of. And there's also some teases for Arkham Asylum and the battle that might be going down there, and a potential conversion into Arkham City, if you're familiar with that aspect from the game, where basically the asylum becomes the city, or the city becomes the asylum, kind of thing, which is fun. I don't know too much about that because I haven't got to that one yet. I'm still playing the first Arkham game, actually. I've been playing it for about a year.
Something like that.
It's just one of those things where it's just like so slow going forward. But yeah, you can check that out. It's Superhero Hype if you want. And then we already talked about the potential shiny shoes, the guy in the police station possibly being shiny shoes. And one article we wanted to point out here, again, you can go to legendsofgotham.com to the show notes for this episode if you want to check it out, is kind of taking a look at Gotham in terms of mental health and some themes and stuff they might be exploring and probably will come up due to, the subject matter they're exploring as we move through the season. It's a really interesting article and everything. I recommend you check it out. We're not going to cover it here because
it's really long.
You guys can read, right? Go read. Okay, we're going to wrap up here with some listener feedback. Now, first off, last week we put a call out for people to leave reviews, and we said we'd read them on the show.
So now we are.
And now we are. Okay, let's see here.
Sorry, scrolling problems.
Let's see. Duxman put DC fun is the subject and is amazing to listen. Formative. I'm guessing he meant informative.
Yes.
And then you want to do Sarah?
I was going to read the big one.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead and read the big one.
This one is the most exciting podcast in Gotham City by M. Lucero. I don't know who that could
Hello,
be.
Michael Lucero.
Hello, Michael Lucero. I discovered this podcast through Greetings from Storybrooke, a podcast about the Once Upon a Time TV series.
That's how we knew him.
That these podcasters also do. Even after that show disappointed me, I continued to listen to their podcast just because the hosts are that good. Bill and Anne-Marie have an electric chemistry, and the juxtaposition of Bill's knowledge of Batman comics and Anne-Marie's knowledge of the police procedurals gives them the opportunity to go into things that the other might not know, thereby educating me as well. I'm a Batman fan, but I have never read the comics obsessively, like Bill Meeks. So I really enjoy the Gotham show, and Legends of Gotham helps me enjoy it more by pointing out things that I hadn't even noticed in the episode, such as the Harlequin cabaret dancers or the many Joker references. Subscribe to this podcast for a take on Batman and the Gotham show that is insightful, zany, mysterious, and murky, but not too murky.
Thank you, Michael, for leaving that. And last one here is from Sarah, and she says, Love the host. They are informative and fun. Thank you very much, Sarah. Now, thank you guys so much for these reviews, and they're really helping. We would love some more. So what we're going to do is we're going to run a contest throughout all of October. I want anyone who already left a review to know you're entered. You just need to email.
You are automatically entered.
Just email us with a screenshot of your review so I can put them all in one place when we do the drawing. But this is what we're giving away here. A Gotham Comic-Con poster. We will mail this out to you so you can put it up on your wall. All you have to do is go to iTunes and search for Legends of Gotham, then leave us a review. It can be a 1-star review. That's fine. If you don't like us, we'll cry, but it'll be okay.
Will cry. Please don't make me cry.
But then just take a screenshot of your review and send it to legendsofgotham@gmail.com, and you'll be entered to win this Gotham poster, and we'll give it away in our last episode in October. Our first episode in November, actually.
Yes.
We'll let it run all through October.
Let it ride, man. Let
it ride. And yeah, we'll put those all in one place and then do a big drawing, and it'll be fun. So win a poster. Come on, it'll be fun. Now, we always do recommend that after you finish watching Gotham on Monday night, run to your computer.
Okay, let's clarify this for those who don't know. Bill suggests that you
grab a pair of scissors, one for each hand, and run down the stairs to your computer. Yeah. 2 pairs of scissors, and run to your computer and let us know what you thought of the episode.
I personally think you should pick up your smartphone that's sitting on your lap and just write it from
we
there.
Won't accept any of those. The email is legendsofgotham@gmail.com. The Twitter is @legendsofgotham. The Facebook is facebook.com/legendsofgotham. And the voicemail number, which we almost always play, is 424-274-2352. Again, that's 424-274-2352. And we have a few here. First, we have one from Bobby, who's in the chat. So take it away, Bobby.
Hey, Bill and Anne-Marie, it's Bobby here. The Gotham pilot was definitely better than I thought it would be. But Jada Pinkett Smith was just hammering it up a bit too much. And the second episode didn't get any better. So I'm sorry, Anne-Marie. I just do not like Fish Mooney. My favorite
Anne-Marie's upset.
Characters so far are probably Bullock and Oswald Cobblepot. Robin Lord Taylor does a kick-ass job of playing what will eventually become the Penguin. And I think the second episode did a good job of showing us just how deep corruption runs in Gotham City. Falcone even gave us an inkling that maybe the Waynes weren't quite as squeaky clean as we thought they were, or at least turned a blind eye to things going down in Gotham.
See, I kind of had thought that it was more like they were yin and yang to each other. Like Falcone and like the Waynes were the good with just like a little bit of greed in them, and Falcone's the bad with a little bit of honor in him, I guess. Yeah.
But for an episode named Selina Kyle, I was expecting a bit more Selina Kyle. We really didn't get any of her backstory or any story, really, honestly. She just happened to figure into the story, and she had like 4 lines altogether. But the title aside, I still enjoyed the episode, especially the guest stars Frank Whaley and I believe her name Lily Taylor.
Thank you, Bobby.
Thank you.
Enjoy those actors. And again, I thought it was a good episode, better than the pilot. Out of 23 monkeys riding a racehorse, I'll give it 17.
Thank you very much, Bobby. And I really love the arbitrary scale.
You feed into him, Bobby. You feed into him.
Okay, next up we have, and I mentioned him a second ago, voicemail from Brett. Take it away, Brett.
I love the show. It was a great follow-up to the pilot, and I like how they're developing each individual character and how James Gordon is interacting with the characters, and he's shaping the Batman villains to who they are in the comics, and it'll be very interesting to see if they include any Batman facing them as the seasons go on, which hopefully it will get picked up for more seasons. Bye.
Yeah, it is going to be interesting to see all of these villains having Jim Gordon there when all of them kind of figure out that they're villains. Yeah, actually, it'll probably be more interesting once it becomes the Batman universe, but we're probably not going to see that.
I don't think
unless there's some sort of like, I don't know. It would be cool if like they did a last season where it
jumped ahead 10 years.
Jumped ahead 10 years, and it shows like the first year of Batman in Gotham or something like that. And Batman gives James Gordon a kiss to erase his memory so he doesn't know that Bruce is Batman,
Interesting.
like from Superman 2.
More things that I do not know.
Okay, here's someone I know who will get that
Meow,
reference.
meow, meow, meow.
Meow. Rebecca, take it away.
Hey, Bill and Anne-Marie, this is Rebecca, and I'm calling about the Gotham episode titled Selina Kyle. But let's be honest, it really shouldn't have been called that because she was barely even in it, and she didn't speak until about 40 minutes in.
A common complaint.
Even though she didn't do much, I did like a little bit we got of Selina. I enjoyed her being barked at by the dog, her sassing the bus driver, and her joking around with the other kid on the bus. When she was given something to do and say, she was fun to watch. Look forward to seeing more of her and learning what she tells Gordon about the Wayne's murder. Got a couple of questions. Anne-Marie, since you are the TV procedural connoisseur of the podcast, I was wondering what you think about Gordon and Bullock in this episode. Are they the worst cops ever or what? They heard
I don't think they're the worst cops ever. I think they're playing their slot. They're playing what they're like. You have to have the fight within the partners.
Yeah.
So it's feeding that aspect of it.
They'll probably eventually come into a mutual admiration.
Right.
It's kind of like a superhero team up in comics where
see, this question was directed at me, not you. She didn't ask, "Hey Bill, give me the history of this superhero."
Well,
She's
maybe
like,
she will.
No, maybe she won't because she already knows.
another eyewitness named Kat and didn't even bother trying to find her. And Bill, I have some comic related questions for you. One, well, actually there's several, but we'll start with one. What are your speculations on Selina's mother? Do you think Selina has any other family as well, like her sister Maggie from the comics? And two, what do you think they'll play with Selina having a connection to the Falcone family, like in Jeff Loeb's Catwoman in Rome? Look forward to listening to the podcast. Thanks.
I would actually like to read this one in Rome now.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I wasn't aware of those. And as far as her mother, you heard basically what I was thinking on that, which is I have no idea at this point. Because it's actually, you know, it's something that I don't recall ever seeing. Obviously, it's been addressed in the comics, but I don't recall being addressed too much in the comics because usually when you're introduced to Selina, Catwoman, she's pretty much fully formed and you never really get a good idea of her background. At most, you get a good idea of her present, her current friends, her current drama or whatever. But they never really dwell on her background too much. So I'm hoping maybe I'll get some of my comic mythology stuff filled out through the show.
Right.
That I kind of have a weak point on. And last message here is from Roberto. Take it away, Roberto.
Hey guys, it's Roberto Villegas. I figured I'd leave a voicemail for the show because I just got done watching Gotham episode 1, finally getting myself into the series, and holy crap, it's rare that I see on television a visceral kind of experience. Even rarer I see it on sort of network television, as they say, because, I mean, I've seen the Batman origin story many a time, and usually it's the same kind of thing, but that was rough seeing it kind of from the beginning. And I'm not going to lie, Gotham has hooked me in episode 1. And that's even rare for me to say, because it usually takes an episode or two to hook me in. This was definitely an opening that I really, really enjoyed. Thanks, guys. Love the show.
Awesome.
Great. And yeah, he was a little late catching the pilot.
Yeah, he's a little behind. He's a week behind.
But he did. And he let us know. And a couple more people let us know. We'll wrap up here real quick. Grant from the Flash podcast. You can follow it at the Flash podcast. If you're going to be watching the Flash,
you should probably listen to the Flash podcast.
Yeah, and we've already been talking about finding a Constantine podcast and a Green Arrow podcast to do a Crisis of 4 podcast at some point.
It's going to be a crisis of Anne-Marie's brain for that podcast.
But he said that he's really enjoying the second episode, or he really enjoyed the second episode a lot. Gotham's version of Selina is quite intriguing to follow, and he can't wait for more. Thanks, Grant.
And then we had a comment from Ruth. I'm going to assume this came from Facebook.
It was Twitter.
It was Twitter? Okay, so I lied. Sorry. She thought it was tastefully done and great respect to the storyline. Keep it up.
Okay, and then we got a letter from Nick, which we heard from last week, and he says, "Hey guys, love the first episode, and it's great to see my old college buddy on the YouTube talking about things we would be talking about if he was still in the area." That's me, by the way. I went to college with Nick. Full disclosure.
Full disclosure. So did I.
Yeah. This episode did a lot for me, and I really enjoyed it. My favorite character is still Harvey, and I love how he just has that gritty attitude with everything. The look on his face when the cop and Jim make his cup of coffee or make him drop his cup of coffee was probably my favorite scene of the entire episode. I also, because he had name checked like dropping a coffee before that.
Exactly. That's why it's funny.
Mm-hmm. Hey! Let's see here. Where was I? Probably my favorite scene of the entire episode, besides the guy's face after Selina clawed out his eyes. These little visual clues make the show worth watching. I mean, the first time we see Selina this episode, she is batting at the hanging chain like my girlfriend's cat bats at her feather on a string. I also liked Alfred reaching out to Gordon because he doesn't know how to raise a child, which was shown when he yelled at him for the candle burning. For something that could come as being forced because they need to get Batman into the show, this actually doesn't take anything away from the plot. It builds and feels very natural for the storytelling.
English, people, English.
Have a good one, Nick. Thank you, Nick. Sorry my reading was so bad. It got really warm in here. I don't know.
Okay, I'm freezing, so...
Maybe it's just all the lights are hitting me the right way or something. Okay.
Though that one blinded me earlier.
And let's see.
Okay, and this one is from Win. Hi, Bill and AM. Still loving Gotham. Woohoo!
Woo.
I appreciate the super quick pacing and villains who swiftly take care of their evil business without resorting to drawn out talky. I don't know. I was thinking chalky. Complex plans. Penguin is especially brilliant at turning any situation to his benefit almost instantly. Although most of what I know of the Batman universe villains comes from playing their figures in Hero Clicks. Okay, over my head.
It's a little game with figurines.
Oh, it's a little game with figurines. I could still appreciate appreciate much of the foreshadowing to the sick legacy of Arkham Asylum. Oh, that's how you spell Arkham. Hope you get this email in time, much like the cop who didn't run to Soldier's crime scene. I didn't run to the computer right after the show to this. I'm not a bad person, just a bad fan. No, Win. No, you're not a bad fan. Thank you.
We shouldn't have read that because she didn't run to her computer right after.
I told her not to. Running is dangerous.
We will only accept letters from now on where you run to your computer to send them right after the show's over. Sorry,
which means
Win.
They're all going to have to send them directly to me. And I'll be like, no, this just went to the wrong account.
Email is legendsofgotham@gmail.com. The Twitter is @legendsofgotham. The Facebook is facebook.com/legendsofgotham. And the voicemail number is 424-274-2352. Please send a voicemail because we can't read. 424-274-2352. Okay, Anne-Marie, where can people find you online?
You can find me on the Twitters @DeSimone or @CCHCblog or crunchycrafty.com.
And as for me, you can find me on Twitter @Bill Meeks. My Google Plus page, which you can follow to get notified when we go live with these things.
True story.
Is google.com/+BillMeeks. And, I started a new podcast this week called Hey You What's Up. I talk 12 minutes with cool people and then hang up on them.
I'm one of them.
Yeah, she's on
That's
it.
me.
She's going to be on next Tuesday, I think.
Something like that.
But if you want to check that out, just go to heyyouwhatsup.com, or it should be on iTunes in the next day or two. So just subscribe to it there. All right. Well, I guess that's about it.
Have we ever figured out how we're ending these?
Yeah, I think we just say join us next time for more Legends of Gotham.
No.
Do 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 do.